In 2026, SEOs should use AI selectively and always base their decisions on aspects that are going to build trust, that are going to be scalable, and they are going to bring ROI. I'm Montserrat Cano, and this is SEO in 2026.
Montserrat, what's your number one SEO tip for 2026?
In 2026, SEOs should stay grounded and focus on those strategies that scale across global markets instead of chasing every single AI-related shiny object.
Okay, so what are those strategies that scale across global markets?
The strategies I'm referring to are those strategies that reflect your business values, your business objectives, and basically everything that you've been trying to do. So I would use AI as a helper, right? As something that will actually help achieve those business objectives in your target markets and with your target audiences. And it is really important at this moment in time because from what I can see, artificial intelligence is actually evolving at a pace faster than most individuals and companies can actually adapt. So I understand perfectly that the hype is so big that the temptation is very strong to hanging on to every single AI strategy that comes out and gets published, use every single AI tool as well. But all of this could be great if you actually thought about what you actually need to do, why you need to use those strategies or those tactics or those AI tools, etc., etc. When it comes to global businesses, from what I have read, is that the AI adoption is actually quite different across global markets. So, for example, I think it was in McKinsey, according to McKinsey, the UK in Europe is leading the way in terms of AI adoption. And I think it's mostly used in many different areas, including marketing, sales, also public sector. Whereas in other areas, in other markets, such as Denmark, for example, AI is being used in mostly automation. And the same goes for countries such as Belgium. So it's just important to bear this in mind because that means that maybe your target users are not even using Perplexity, or they are using Perplexity or AI mode or AI overviews for different reasons. And they are maybe validating their answers as well. And what are they validating their answers with? Yeah, so try and think, research what your users are actually doing, what their preferences are. They are sociological and regulatory environments that might actually determine how they are using and what platforms they are using. For example, do they prefer Mistral's Le Chat to ChatGPT? Why that might be? Yeah, so this is very important.
A phrase that you used was use AI as a helper. How do you determine what not to use AI for and what to use AI for?
I think it's mostly to do with your own abilities, your skill set, on your team's skill set, what you are lacking, what exactly it is that you need to do. But then, for that reason, what I would do in the first place is audit your current setup, what you are trying to do in relation to your business objectives. It's probably the skill set that is lacking because everybody's trying to understand artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence tools. So there is a skill that we need to improve. And there, I think that's something that happens across all businesses. But then at the same time, I would audit processes, internal processes. Are they okay? Are they yielding any results? Where do you think you could use any help So, for example, do you think you would use any help with automation, building workflows, keyword research, competitor research, etc., etc.? That's how I would start.
And you also talk about knowing your audience, knowing locally where they happen to interact. And how do you go about researching what AI tools your audience is likely to be using?
I would go with industry reports, if there are any, for a specific market. And then I would also use reports such as Eurostat or consultancies such as McKinsey that are looking at AI. And some other publications are also talking about this. So that's one thing. Then I don't know. Perhaps communities. I think communities is very important at this moment in time. Right? They have always been, but right now in a saturated market and very fragmented channel landscape, communities are becoming a lot more important. So why not asking there? Why not monitoring? Why not seeing what people are talking about and see whether they are actually using them or not? And then go and manually check whether your brands are actually appearing in there.
What about the use of AI in technical SEO? Because it's easy, or perhaps to automate everything, but how do you decide what to automate and what not to?
The tasks that I automate are those that are repetitive, things that I need to do every day, and they take forever and ever, and they can actually be helped somehow by using an external help. So, for example, if I am not using any keyword clustering tool, which I know there are a few out there, I would use, and I have used AI for that, just to test and see how they are doing. Because something that I haven't said before is that it is important to pilot every single initiative, every single AI initiative that you actually take before you actually scale it, before you present it to your team and say, well, this is something that we should actually do because it's bringing results. If you just kind of go ahead and do it simply because you have read somewhere that is actually proving useful, it might turn out that it's not that useful to you. Maybe you have some resources already, some tools that can actually do that. So again, audit what you are trying to do and what your resources are, and see whether anything that it is too repetitive, that is prone to making mistakes, making you make mistakes, etc. Identify all those in the first place and see whether you can actually use AI for.
Is it possible to produce content using AI and maintain trust and authenticity, or is that something that only humans can provide?
Only humans can provide authenticity, that's for sure. But AI tools can definitely help you with different aspects of the content strategy process. It can help you with ideas, for example, or with tightening paragraphs or sentences. Sometimes you're stuck. Sometimes I have been writing something and I got stuck and I didn't like what I was writing. So I thought, okay, maybe just get another point of view, a fresh pair of eyes, right? And as if were. Thing is that 99.9% of the situations I have needed to overview all that because whatever the tool was giving me was not my own voice in the first place. And secondly, there were factual errors. So maybe the angle was right and that was what I was looking for, but it was not something that I would definitely publish because that wouldn't actually bring any trust.
Okay, and is it possible for AI to incorporate local insight as well, or is it quite tricky to do that with AI?
It is tricky to do that with AI because environment does change, the landscape does change very frequently. However, it is possible to train algorithms to help you with some certain tasks in relation to competitor research, for example. So I have built 2 custom GPTs to help with contents across global markets and with digital accessibility. And I did that by training the algorithm, training AI systems to provide with answers that are related to those topics. So it's definitely possible, but it's also possible that they bring mistakes as well. So you need to keep training them. You need to keep using them. Specialists need to keep on top of them.
And if you're an SEO for an international business with many different websites across many countries, and if you have experienced a lot of success using AI in one particular market, is it possible then to roll out similar practice across other markets, or do you have to just start again and assume that nothing works similarly in different markets?
Workflows might actually work across different markets. The actual workflow, the actual process. However, different markets work in a different way. And think about different languages, for example. Think about different ways to speak English across the UK, across the US, across Canada, etc., etc. Nuances are not scalable. Nuances are very local, but processes can definitely be scaled, I think.
Processes can definitely be scaled. Okay, that's a great tip, certainly. And what about the scaling of content campaigns? And how do you incorporate AI into content marketing? Because it's changing so quickly, do you actually need to review things every week or every couple of weeks or so? Or is there still a place maybe for a quarterly content strategy that incorporates AI?
I think the strategies need to be reviewed every so often anyway, whether there is AI or not, really. Because our target markets and our target segment do change, that they never stay the same. We need to review what we are doing, what we are trying to do. Well, like I said, every so often, maybe twice a year or something, and to monitor every day, just to find out whether something has changed across all these markets. Think about artificial intelligence. I mean, we've been having artificial intelligence for decades, and then suddenly Gen AI comes along and disrupt all our lives. So search in relation to, AI in relation to search is a factor to take into account, because users are searching in different ways at the moment, partly due to the fact that there are different platforms. So how are they actually searching? What tools are they actually searching? What are they using these tools for? So, for example, I know that people keep repeating, keep publishing that users are taking into account AI overviews, replies, but then they are validating them with traditional search answers. How are they using Perplexity or ChatGPT? What type of information are they looking for? I think that there is a published study, a very recent one, saying that users search in ChatGPT and then they go and validate with Google. So that is important. And maybe not everyone does that, but if there is an opportunity that the users do that, even if it is a small one, we need to take that into account, which is the reason why we need to stay on top of things at all times.
Montserrat, what's the key takeaway from the tip you shared today?
In 2026, SEOs should use AI selectively and always base their decisions on aspects that are going to build trust, that are going to be scalable, and they are going to bring ROI.
Montserrat Cano is an international digital strategist and trainer focusing on international SEO and digital marketing. Find out more over at montserrat-cano.com. Montserrat, thanks so much for being part of SEO in 2026.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure.
I've been your host, David Bain. Get your copy of SEO in 2026, the book, over at SEOin2026.com.